Good evening and welcome to Word Gets Around Business Chat Show. I'm Paul, I'm your host, and this is episode 4 of our chat show. How are you doing? I hope you're having a good week so far. Friday again tomorrow. If you'd like to say hello, please pop your comments into the comments below. I'd love to hear your questions this evening. So I've got two wonderful guests waiting in the wings to chat away tonight. Really looking forward to that. Got a bit of news, quite excited. Got into the office today and we've got the latest issue of Taunton Chamber, the Taunton Chatter. Thank you very much to the Chamber. They've got a lovely piece in here all about this channel, which is great. So thank you very much for your support. Great design by Design Bean. Sally there, hello to you. And also to Carly Press, who print. And there's lots of lovely members of the Taunton Chamber on the back there. So, it's been quite a warm week, hasn't it? The weather's been quite nice again. Things are kind of developing, things are developing day by day. We're due to get our masks on order, aren't we, really, to go into the shops and things. But it's been great to see businesses opening again, people opening their doors and people ready to support them. So we had a bit of exciting news in the office. We have a banana plant which has been with us. It's moved offices, I think, 3 times in the kind of, I think, 6 or 7 years that we've had this banana plant. And it was looking very sad indeed. And it's had a lot of sunlight in the window. It's had lots of water, but it looked like it was on its last legs. And because I've been working from home a lot, it was looking a bit sad when I came back in. So we topped it up with some water. And I wanted to share with you something because I think it's quite a good story for us and kind of testament to how things are at the moment. So we've had a bit of kit. I've got a couple of new cameras. I'm trying to get used to all this equipment. Having hosted normally to a room full of people, it takes a while to look at the right camera and not look at your desktop and not look at the mic and not look at the screen over here. But I'll just show you, we've got an extra camera. So here, this is Plant Cam. So hello to Plant Cam, how are you doing? So look, we came into the office and we got a lovely green shoot that suddenly appeared and she's whizzing up. So my good friend Abe, the little Lego man, he's watching over it while I'm not into the office, but it's been shooting up day by day. Now this banana plant hasn't sprouted at all in the 6 or 7 years that we've had it. It started to sprout as the businesses start to open. And I'm kind of taking that as a metaphor for new life, for new beginnings, and hopefully for lots of people that get through this crisis and can move their businesses forward. So I thought I'd share that. We'll keep you updated with what's going on with Plant Cam. So thank you very much to Abe. If you could have a look after that, that would be great. There we go. So I'm delighted to say another 2 guests tonight. And first up is a very good friend of mine. We used to share an office for many years, or 2 or 3 years. Really enjoyed it, missed sharing an office with her. We had lots of fun. So I'd like to introduce Jo Middleton, aka Slummy Single Mummy, aka Word Whore, self-titled, not from my good self. So Jo Middleton, she is an award-winning blogger. Slummy Single Mummy. She's had the website now, the blog, for over 10 years, worked on some wonderful projects over the years, won lots of awards for her blog. So I'm delighted if hopefully she is there. Jo, if you are there. She's there.
Yay.
Oh, wait a minute.
That worked.
I just need to bring you in. Where are you? There you go. One minute.
Yay.
Yeah. Oh, the other one's not working. Bear with me. So we'll go with that one. I just need to move you to the. I might need to move you, or you might need to move a little bit on. Yeah, if you can move a little bit to the side.
Which side?
No, the other side. The other side would be good. Yay! That'll do. Great.
Yeah.
Thanks. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Lovely to see you. You're looking very relaxed there.
Yeah, just reclining on the bed. Super professional as always. Just in bed with a glass of wine.
Any cats with you?
Like any evening, really. I haven't got any cats in here, no. Humphrey was right in the middle of the bed when I came up, so he ran off because I stole his space.
I forgot to mention to everybody watching, if they didn't know already. So, Jo, you're a co-host at the Word Gets Around Networking. So how long have we been co-hosting that together now?
Well, you wrote me in not long after I moved in to the Crescent, I guess. So maybe, or I want to say like maybe even 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, it must be, mustn't it?
Is that a thing?
So we first connected on Twitter, as I'm sure you do with lots of people. Most of the people you meet, I guess, is the first thing on Twitter. Part of your celebrity, and then I think I first met you at an event, didn't I, in Froome, I believe. I was speaking at an event there.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, I was
You'll remember
speaking.
better than me. I barely remember anything.
Oh, yeah, it was back. It was back in yeah, probably 5 6 years ago.
I know I came to speak at Word Gets Around before we started sharing an office, didn't we?
Yes,
I
that's
remember
right.
that.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then lured you into the office with Marcus and I,
yeah.
and
Lured me in.
there we go. And hopefully you were as delighted as I am about the banana plant.
I know I was. I can't actually see plant cam through this setup,
Oh yes, of course.
but I've got a picture of the banana plant, obviously in my mind, and was very excited. I thought for a moment that you were going to say that it was growing bananas, and then I was really excited.
Yeah,
Um,
I did kind of build it up a bit, didn't
you
I?
really like you bigged it up. I was expecting so, but the very fact that it's not dead is excellent news. Well
Yeah,
done.
I think she peaked in about 2018 when we got very
Didn't
excited,
we
when she
all?
kind of got really big. And then I think it was when we took her out the window and put the Christmas tree there that she got, yeah.
Yeah. Was that the Christmas where I got one of the cats in to help us decorate?
Yeah, that was the best Christmas ever, wasn't it? It was Humphrey that came into the
It was
office.
Humphrey. Yeah, I brought him into the office to, for as a treat for Paul, and he helped us decorate our special Christmas tree, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Oh, I've got a few comments coming in. Let's have a look. Let's put one of them on there. So Mr. Jonathan Eyre said Shane Griffiths is impressed by the multiple use of cameras. Well, there we go. That's always good. Yes, Shane, I had to use the webcam. Got it working in the end. So Joe, Shane and I have been chatting back and forth about equipment and stuff, and
Yeah.
he's like a super geek with his stuff. So
Oh my goodness! I know. I watched the last episode of Digital Taunton, and it was like Shane was in the room with me. Like his setup is so incredible. Like he's sharper than even in person. It
yeah,
felt like.
if him and his wife have kids one day, that's gonna be funny to watch. Just seeing his equipment getting touched and that kind of stuff. He's got the
Everything
dogs. That
covered
must be hard
in
enough.
fingerprint. Yeah.
But so have obviously I've known you a couple of years now. Lots of people that have tuned in. I've known you for a while, so they know about your blog. I just thought it'd be good today to catch up about. I guess really for me it's the transition, because obviously you've been very much top parent blogger in the country. You've won awards for that. I was just thinking you've got over 115,000 followers combined, which is very, very impressive.
Thank you very much.
You were an author of a book, which was great.
Yes.
Playgroups and Prosecco, and I wondered how now with what's been going on this year and time to think, and you've already made that transition to kind of more lifestyle stuff, where you're kind of at and where you want to go.
Oh, if only I knew the answer. Well, you know me, I don't tend to really have a plan much past like what I'm going to have for lunch normally. So it's been an interesting 6 months. It was actually, I think for the last couple of years, I've been a bit like, I'm not sure where to go next. Children are growing up. Where's going to be like my niche? And as you know, like I actually became a granny a year ago. So that's been
Yeah.
an extra source of content for me. It's good for Instagram to have like cute baby pictures to post. I've actually started during lockdown. Started in the loosest possible sense of the word. I started an interior design course because it's something that's always interested me. Like looking at magazines, basically.
Well, you did always have free reign on the office, didn't you? That's cushions and things.
Yeah, and the plants and decoration stuff. So I just was kind of thinking, actually, with lockdown and everything that's happening, it's been quite a good opportunity for a lot of people, I think, to kind of have a bit of a pause and reflect and think about like new directions. Work did massively drop off for me initially in the first sort of 2 months, particularly. which was a bit scary, but I think that kind of comes with being a freelancer a lot of the time, doesn't it? You know that there's going to be peaks and troughs, and you get used to holding your nerve, I think, when you go through quiet phases. But it was nice. It was a good opportunity to just have a bit of a think about where I want to go next. So I guess the answer is that I will just kind of try to perhaps branch out even more than I have before, look at more kind of the home stuff in interiors, but also just be open to see what happens. My whole career really with the blog has been unpredictable and driven really by like industry changes and how the market's developed as much as anything. So just kind of keeping an open mind and being able to go with whatever opportunities present themselves.
But that's part of the fun, isn't it? Part of being the master of your own destiny, and being able to choose what you want to do.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. And like with the book, I would never have thought I'm going to actually like be disciplined enough to sit down and write a book and send it out to agents or publishers. But when I was approached to write it, I've just kind of said yes, really, without thinking about it. And I think that sort of attitude can stand you in quite good stead when you work for yourself.
No, absolutely. So quite a lot's happened with becoming a grandmother and and the book, and it's been and I guess one of the things we'll talk about with Tom and a bit later on is that balance. And I guess you've reached that stage where you've established it's very competitive in the blog world, and I guess because you've been going 10 years, you kind of found that space where you've grown the business, and now it gives you, I guess, a bit of that freedom to be able to pick and choose things a bit more.
Yeah, definitely. I was really lucky with the timing of when I set things up, because 10 years ago there was so few relatively parent bloggers, and it was much easier to kind of establish yourself and get your voice heard. I mean, if I was to set up now, I don't think I'd stand a chance. I wouldn't know what to do. So yeah, I'm in a really lucky position that I've managed to build up this kind of base of followers and reputation that means I can sort of work fewer hours and be a bit choosy with the work that I say yes to. It's pretty nice. Isn't it a nice way to make a living?
I think obviously it would be harder, but I think you're doing yourself a discredit in terms of because you're pretty awesome. So it's about you, isn't it? It's about you've got a great sense of humour. Your writing is what attracts people, and it's you that people appeal to and following the stories. And people have followed you watching your kids grow up, and people have got to know them. And I remember when you were doing the 40 things to do before you're 40, you were trying to tick them off and go through those kind of things.
I know. I did all right on those in the end. Did about 35 of them.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. You were panicking a bit at the end, weren't you? Some of them.
Just what can I cram in? And I did do the swimming outdoors in Iceland about a month after my 40th birthday, but I let it in.
Yeah, I just remember showing the office, and you were. I remember one of the weekends I think I was going to Vivery Park to have like a ice cream or something, and you were going off to Stockholm to drive a Volvo around and get paid. Seriously? Like, what's that all about? But,
I did keep you in a nice supply of freebies for.
That is very true. For those of you watching, I do remember when you had the ice cream company that you were writing for, and we had wasn't it a minimum pallet of like 50 boxes of ice lollies?
We had a lot of ice creams because we had to take them upstairs to Shane and Ben and the Idea Bureau and be like, she wants some ice creams, please just fill your freezer.
And just handing them out to random people like parked outside the Crescent.
Take an ice cream, please.
Yeah.
It was good fun.
So I was going to ask you an important question.
I do miss the office sharing as well.
What's that?
I do miss the office sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was good fun, wasn't it? And I remember when obviously we had a move after the Crescent, and I sort of said to you, I've got some news, wasn't it? I've got some news. I'm going to be moving out of the office, and you were like, no, I love to move you, Marcus. No, I was like, oh no, you can come as well, and you were like, oh. And
know. And then you said, "Oh, I've told them I'm only coming if I can bring you with me."
yeah, so we've always had. I don't know how I've managed it. I've always had nice offices. So we went from the Crescent to the cricket ground, and now at
Yeah.
Hestercombe, it's
And
really
I'm
really
here
nice.
on my bed, so
There you go. It reminds me of the bed from Bedknobs and Broomsticks, and I kind of think you're gonna have a dream tonight and go
yeah,
and
I've got like, yeah, it's good. It's good. It's a good bed. When I broke up with my last boyfriend like 4 years ago, one of my acts of like post breakup thing, like rather than eating a load of ice cream, I just sprayed my bed pink. It was just like a now I can do that. I'm going to spray things pink.
definitely, it's just got to have
Yeah.
that special touch with it, really, haven't you?
Yeah.
I was going to ask you a question on my list of things, important questions to ask you, and one
Okay.
of them was, have you had any sugar in your tea recently?
Not since I last spoke to you. The last few days have been okay.
Right. So those of you who don't know, so Joe, you always used to have no tea and no sugar in the office. But if it
Mm.
was a particularly stressful day, then I'd have to put a sugar in there.
Yeah, so that
So
was a good sign for you, wasn't it? It's like, what kind of mood am I in if
yeah,
I
and
put sugar in my
and
tea?
living
No.
with four females, six when we had the guinea pigs, I was used to like, yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, no, I'm okay. I mean, I do have a glass of wine,
That's good.
but I think that's fine because I'm a 42-year-old woman and that's what we do. But no sugar in my tea this week so far.
Yeah. So what's been your favorite or some of your favorite projects that you've been involved in and the
Oh,
work you've done?
um, do you know, I like doing stuff I think that takes me a bit out of my comfort zone and where I would I kind of get to have experiences or do things that it sounds kind of cheesy, but the whole kind of like money can't buy type experience.
Yeah.
So projects that are just a bit unusual. So one that springs to mind is a couple of years ago, I worked with a language app called Babbel, I think it's called, where like one of the ones where you learn to speak a language. And I was challenged to learn enough Spanish in 3 weeks to go on a date with a Spanish guy. Just like, I mean, they said a date. It wasn't a date. I was in like a studio and we had a very set up like conversation that was all filmed. But yeah, so that kind of thing is always fun, just to like really do something that you would never do before. I really loved traveling, so anything that is involves traveling. So like you mentioned that trip to Stockholm,
Yeah.
so that was with Volvo, and that was just like test driving a car for 24 hours around Stockholm, and that was to create then a video for Volvo. That was really fun. Really enjoyed that, and been to like some other really quite cool places. Like I went to Vietnam with Coca-Cola to like find out more about their.
Yeah.
They do loads of sort of charitable stuff around like clean water and local businesses and supporting kind of local communities and things like that. That was really good. Honestly, I've just had so many like amazing and fun and interesting opportunities. Like even just this week, my job for the week
Yeah.
is to make Incredible Hulk themed ice cream sandwiches. Like that's not a job, is it?
No,
That's
that's not a job.
me
That's
messing about in the kitchen. So I've made some green ice cream already. I just need to make some green cookies to make ice cream sandwiches. So like just get to do stupid things like that, really.
I was
It's
always
really
very
fun.
jealous of the projects you were working on, and I'd be like doing something quite a bit mundane. But
What was one of your favourites? I've come in
oh,
and talked about.
what what that you've done?
Yeah. What have you been most envious of?
Oh, that's a good question. Right back at you,
I've
Cleopatra. Uh,
turned it back round. The
mm,
hoster becomes the hostee.
oh God, I got me now. Well, I was thinking about the ice lolly. Obviously, sticks in my mind because we had loads of
Yeah.
ice lollies, and I can remember having loads of them until I felt a bit
Just the one
sick.
where I got free ice lollies.
Yeah, well, the Big Mac one was quite cool. Making the Big Mac live.
Oh yeah, that was really fun. Made a Big Mac
Yeah,
live in a McDonald's on Twitter, although we only discovered when we got there that their internet connection in the kitchen was really poor. So I was kind of making this Big Mac and had somebody there like filming me on my phone, so it was live streaming on Twitter, but I'm not sure the quality was amazing. But it was interesting. Who gets to make a Big Mac? I mean, obviously everyone who works in McDonald's, but apart from that.
Yeah, they're sick of doing it. They don't want to do any more of that.
Yeah,
They've enjoyed the break.
Yeah.
So I have to, of course, I have to mention the SpongeBob movie, because I always like to pick up on that. So for those that don't know, who did you interview?
Well, I was flown out to New York, which is very exciting in itself, and I got to interview some of the director and some of the cast from the SpongeBob SquarePants 2 iconic movie, and it starred Antonio Banderas, so I got to interview him. Also, yeah, the director and the guys who do the voice of SpongeBob and Patrick. So that was really exciting. Or that was totally out of my comfort zone, because I kind of rocked up like it was so nice. It was a proper like press junket, and I've never been on anything like that before. So I turned up with my little camera, expecting that I would have to, I don't know, set it up and film. I don't know what I was expecting, really.
Did you feel like Hugh Grant when he's like representing Horse and Hound magazine in Notting Hill?
yeah, it was totally like that. And then of course they've got like all these cameras set up already, and you go in and you've got like 5 minutes and you have to ask loads of like as many questions as you can, and I really wanted to stand out and not just ask the same questions as everybody else asked. But I ended up just asking ridiculous questions. Like, there's a scene in the film where so Antonio Banderas is playing this kind of pirate who's plagued by seagulls, and so I asked him if birds ruled the world, did he think they'd leave food out for humans?
Oh, good question.
Well, I'm pretty sure no one has ever asked it before, but probably with good reason. But he was very sweet. He was very patient with me, and he did answer all of my stupid questions.
Well, it's a shame you didn't know some of your Spanish back then with the app.
Oh, I know. I could have wooed him.
You could have really wooed him. Yeah, absolutely. And so that's quite cool. So if you who would you like to interview if you could, along the lines of what you're doing now?
Okay. Well, I like generally I'm not like celebrities and stuff. I'm not that fussed about. But my one proper celebrity crush is Reese Witherspoon. Like, if I could interview anybody, or like be her best friend, or like live in her house or something, absolutely be her every time. Cool. I think she's amazing.
Any particular movies?
Legally Blonde, obviously. Legally Blonde 2. Sweet Home Alabama, it's a bit of a classic.
Yeah.
I just think she's really I think she's a great actress, but also I think she uses her influence and her success in a really positive way. So she does a lot for like women working in film, and she has a production company, and she's really like empowering for the women in the industry. So I think she's just probably an all-round nice person.
Yeah. And I was just thinking she was in Walk the Line, wasn't she?
Oh yeah, Johnny Cash film. Yeah, she's really good in that.
She was very good in that. And so I guess it's been a bit of a crazy year, obviously, with what's gone on with everyone. The C word. I was talking to somebody else the other day about whether the C word is the one that's going on now, or it's replaced the C word in December, like not talking about the C word as opposed to the rude one.
Well, I never minded talking about December's C word.
That's very true.
Because I love that,
Very true. But in terms of the other side of what's going on there, but in terms of being careful about what you say, and as an influencer yourself, and how that works, because you have to be very careful, don't you, in terms of, I noticed a couple of years ago when you had to sort of say, this is a sponsored post, and it kind of made that transition to basically be, hands up, I am endorsing this product, I'm getting paid to do it. And how's that kind of been? How did that kind of move in for you?
The whole like telling people that stuff is paid for.
Yeah, because I guess there was a lot of things that people get, for years and years. I've been given stuff to promote, and they're getting paid behind. But then there became a part. Is it in law now that for bloggers and influencers they have to say sponsored
Yeah,
product?
so it's part of the Advertising Standard Agency,
Right.
that what they're called. The ASA guidelines is the same as for newspapers and magazines. If they've got like advertorial features, that
Yeah.
they have to have that bit at the top that says, advertisement feature or whatever it might be. So the same rules do apply to bloggers, and they have done for quite a long time. I don't think I particularly noticed an impact because I think I've always been pretty transparent. If for a long time, like, I mean, I don't even know if there was a time when I haven't particularly. If I've been sent something for free, I would say. If a post is being sponsored by a brand, then I'll like always have a little thing at the top of the post.
Yeah.
And I know that some bloggers were kind of hesitant about it because they think it's going to put people off. But actually, I think if you can be always honest and open and transparent, then people know what to expect. My blog is my full-time income, so I have to make some money from it somehow.
Yeah.
And hopefully, even when I'm writing content that's being paid for by someone else, it still has a sort of personal element, or it has an interesting story running through it that means people will read it anyway,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Excellent. And
Yeah, so I don't think I noticed too much of a change really, because it's something
yeah.
I've always done, I think.
And sort of finally, before we speak to Tom, and we'll get some questions from people later on, which would be great. What's kind of all the articles and all the posts that you've written, is there one that particularly you're proudest of, or that stands out over the sort of 10-year plus period?
Oh, that's a good question. I guess the posts that seem to resonate most with people, and therefore are sort of most satisfying for me, are the more personal ones about perhaps difficult things that have happened to me, or particular sort of personal situations. It is difficult when your children are older because a lot of the stuff that you are going through is kind of related to them, and then it's tricky because that's their story, and I need to
Yeah.
respect their privacy. I mean, the last this year I started a new section on my blog called Untold Stories,
Oh yeah.
which is anonymous contributions from other parents about difficult things that they're experiencing. So I was finding that I had lots of stuff I wanted to talk about my own situation and my own children, but couldn't because of
Yeah.
wanting to respect their privacy. And so I thought there's probably a gap in the market there for people who do want to talk about stuff but can't. And some of those posts, although obviously I've not written them myself, some of those have really kind of seemed to have captured people's imagination and been really valuable to people. So people saying really things that are very brave and difficult to say out loud. Like I had one post recently that was somebody saying that they regretted having children, just full stop.
Right.
They've had teenage children and just actually wish they'd never had. And people going through difficult times during lockdown, where it's put a massive strain on their marriage, mental health difficulties, all kinds of things. So that whole section actually is something that I'm quite proud of recently, and I think has been quite impactful.
Brilliant. Well, it's been great chatting to you, catching up with you, and I just want to say thank you for your friendship over the years, and thank you for your support as a co-host. It's been great to see the networking evolve, and we're catching up very soon, aren't we, to discuss the next stage. You've got some exciting things to tell you and ideas for that, and it's great that you're say in a position now where you can pick and choose the things you want to do and help people, like you mentioned there with the untold stories, that people feel they can trust you, they know you, and they can come to you for you to help out that. And that's
It's a privilege.
great for a lot of people. Must be very rewarding. So great. Thank you, Jay. We'll catch up with you in a bit. I'm
Thank
just going
you.
to pop you back in the green room. That would be great. And
All right.
there we go. That was Joe. Good to talk to Joe there. I'm just going to check up now on Plant Cam. So there we go. So Plant Cam. Abe, how are we looking? Any more growing there? Not much going on there. No, there we go. So pretty much the same as we had before, but he's keeping an eye on things. So that's very good indeed. So that's Plant Cam. So maybe Plant Cam will evolve to something else. So time for another guest. Really excited to introduce our next guest. This is Tom Camboris. Known Tom for, don't know, 5, 6, 7, maybe 6, maybe 8 years. I did some work with Tom's wife and got to know Tom as well. And Tom is from My Balance Formula. Tom is helps people with team building, with life coaching, personal development, and understanding really about being more fulfilled in your life. So I'm delighted that hopefully Tom is there and I can get him in the right place on the camera. So have a look. There he is. Okay. Tom, if you can move a little bit. That's it. Perfect. A little bit more to the other side.
Me?
Yeah. Other way. Brilliant. That's great. Thank you so much, Tom, for joining me this evening. And for those that don't know you, if you'd like to tell us a little bit more about kind of what you do, that'd be great.
How far back shall I go? I'll just do sort of this most recent version of me, or maybe I'll take it back to Taunton, because you're based in Taunton, and I think that was really the inception of our friendship.
Yes.
So I started in Taunton there was an opportunity for my wife and I, for Tracy and I, to move to Taunton to be a little bit closer to our son, who was going to a dyslexic school in just outside of Glastonbury. So at the time we were living in Plymouth, and that commute was horrendous for us. We just needed to be closer to him. He was, how old was he at the time? 11, 12 years old, something like that. So we moved to Taunton, and that's when we met you. I was a basketball coach for a while. Actually coached the Taunton Tigers for a couple years. That was great fun. Beautiful group of both supporters, players, family, and everything. It's a really special element of Taunton that I fondly take with me. And then thereafter, when actually one of my players, sort of his dad, tapped me on the shoulder one day after a game and said, "Hey, Tom, when you realize that you won't make a living coaching basketball in England, because it's just not it's just not going to be a thing, why don't you come and talk to me about an opportunity that I have?" And so he is a leadership development consultant. And so my response to him was, "Look, Dave, if you want me to stand up in front of a bunch of people as sort of an enthusiastic American that's going to be doing rah-rah, inspirational, motivational things, then I'm probably not your guy, because I'm inherently sort of like an introvert. I don't like to be in front of people." And he said, "No, just hold on. I just want you to come and shadow one of the events and see what you think about it." So I went to one of them, and it's leadership development for corporations, but there was a lot of really interesting moments during this. I think it was like a 2-day event, where people were getting life skills, getting tools to take away. And I remember that some of the comments they were making to Dave and saying, "This has really helped me, irrespective of the fact that I'm going to take this into the organization. It's helped me become a better person, or to have a better relationship with my family or with my friends." And that struck me. And so I started at that point. I said, "You know what? I want to do it." And so that was back in probably 2000, I'm thinking 11 or 12. And so that journey took me to really traveling all over the world, doing leadership development courses, programs, mostly in the UK and London, but certainly a lot in America, some in Europe, and some in the Far East. I could bring Tracy with me to some of them, which was really cool. So that was really up till about really COVID. And so alongside that leadership development career path, I've been working on myself as well, and trying to really understand, what is it that I need? What is it that I want out of life, out of my own fulfillment, my own well-being, my own happiness? I kind of have had that conversation with myself for a long, long time. And so that path has been going along this leadership path. And I started looking at different tools. And one of them was meditation, which was a big eye opener for me and something that I still use every day. And I started really calibrating sort of a formula that works for me, that allows me to bring the best version of myself to work, to my family, to my friends, to the community, right? Just to be happier, to be more fulfilled, more engaged, more present. And so that has taken me to this business, I guess, called My Balance Formula, that has just been going really for like the last 4 months. And it is offered out to individuals and to corporations for people to think about their well-being. Like, how happy are they right now? Is it enough? Great. If it is, end of conversation.
Yeah.
If it's not, is there something else that I need to do? What haven't I done? What have I neglected? What should I be doing more of? What should I be doing less of? So that's basically my journey over the last, since Taunton up till sort of today.
Great, that's really, thanks for sharing that, because I've obviously known parts of that, and I think I first remember talking to you about your basketball stuff and the things you're involved there. And I guess what you've just talked about there about fulfillment and what's been going on this year, there's a lot of people that have had that kind of forced stop in their lives to take a step back and reevaluate, what is important. And you said then with the motivations and what gets you out of bed in the morning. Are you having some interesting conversations with people about that? Is that kind of changing quite a lot, particularly this year?
Yeah, I think so. I think, it's been a random thing, COVID, for different people. So you have been sort of in lockdown or in your own isolation bubble in a random way,
yeah,
with people that you may get along great with, or in a situation that you're actually happy about. Or there's the other side of it, that things aren't as rosy and have been exacerbated, have been worsened in this lockdown life.
yeah.
And so, it's hard to look at this as, well, it's a great opportunity for everyone to reevaluate, because it isn't for some people. Some people have had a really, really tough time with it, whether it's just being not socializing or being in a situation that isn't great for them. But for a lot of people, it has been an opportunity for them to just get quieter, right? To just think about stuff a little bit more differently than they have in the past. They don't have to get up in the morning and drive somewhere through traffic and get to deadlines and emails and phone calls, and then, make their way back and have that nighttime routine at home and just kind of redo that day after day through the weekend and start again. So yeah, there's a real sense of people like having those bigger conversations with themselves. Like,
Yeah.
I had one friend who is a lawyer, and his commute was terrible. He lives in the States, and his commute is like an hour and a half each way. And so about a month into lockdown, he said, first of all, I don't know why I did it, because I'm just as effective at home. We've set the practice up to operate remotely. And he said, I'll never go back. But it took this, to shock him, to jar him and say, what was I doing? And now he's opened up this whole new, view of how he can live his life, which I think COVID has given some people an opportunity to do, for sure.
I mean, for me personally, it's been like embrace just starting doing video and see where it goes, because it's all something I've not done. And there was two things you mentioned then, which I kind of hit home with me, was about, I guess, that break in routine, and we are kind of creatures of habit of doing this the same way. And I guess, and that always hits me when I go on holiday, and a lot of people, that you feel exhausted for the first 3 days, and you think, why is my life like this, that I'm running around like crazy? And I come on a holiday to relax, and I'm knackered because I've jumped off the merry-go-round of life. And the other thing which kind of hit me was about overwhelm, that we get so many messages, and you're told to be this person, you're told to not say this and just say that. And I guess that's a big part of it. There's a lot of people are very confused about the true, who they are themselves, who the true version of themselves is. And I guess part of that is, say, the formula, I guess, is about being the best version of you and being happier with that. And I wonder if the people that you talk to and you work with, is that kind of a barrier that you have to bash through to kind of get to those kind of sticking points for them?
Let's take it a step further back. It's a real hard conversation I had with myself, right? So for many years, I was doing things that in my mind were to better my family, right? And so
Yeah.
really chasing financial opportunities, really chasing opportunities that gave me personal success to succeed in certain areas of my life. And always during that time, it was like, this is going to benefit us in the long run. And it took really an incident, which was me going away on a 10-day meditation retreat, which was meditating like 10 hours a day, uh, completely vegan, and the schedule was ridiculous. You'd wake up at 4 in the morning, you'd have your last meal at 12 noon. So it was, a very, very intensive intermittent fast. All these things sort of disrupted, like threw my life out on a table. And after about day 5 or 6, by the way, you also couldn't speak to anyone at the time. So it was like, they call it
Wow.
like a vow of silence. So
Yeah.
6 days in, and I start really thinking about like my behavior over the last few years, and realizing that these things that I had positioned as right for my family were actually a little bit selfish, right? They were more about me than them.
Okay.
And I just remember there was so many times during that retreat where I just wanted to call them up and apologize to them. It was really heavy, like
Right.
say, wow, I now understand what you were saying when you said, can you stop now, Dad? Or you worked X amount of hours this weekend. Can we just can we just have you for a couple hours? And that, it was a huge, like it was an emotional thing for me. And so that my work is to get people to somehow break through their filters that they've created for themselves to justify what they think is a happy life, right? Or
Yeah.
what they think is a necessary life, to really look at how they're behaving with their family, with their friends, with themselves, their health, their well-being, and have an honest conversation, like a real honest evaluation of themselves. And that's hard to do because, as soon as you do that, Paul, then you have to look back at all the behavior you had before that and feel real crap about that. You have to go through that process of, wow, I got it wrong for me, like 20 years, right? That's a big, big thing where I have to now get through that, make peace with that, and now start getting it right. So that is part of the work, and it's hard, right? People don't want to do that. That's a really scary place to be, and jumping into that void of like, have I been wrong with my, for some people with a big part of my life? That's a huge, like, uncomfortable question to ask yourself. So anyway, yes, that's the space I want people to get to initially. And then we come out of that and it's like, okay, well, now we're honest with where we are. We'd like to be there. Okay, well, now what do we have to do? We just now start putting together a plan, putting together stuff that's going to make this better. And so it's really satisfying to see people go through that process. But yeah, that's the crux of it.
It sounds great, and I guess it does involve it. We need somebody else to take us on that journey because we're too close to obviously ourselves, but our family as well, and going through all those emotions. And I guess you said that guilt of letting go of things, and then trying to change the habits of always doing things certain ways. I think everyone can see where we all feel that in our lives. And I guess one of the things you mentioned was about your son was, time, giving people your time, because we're all so guilty. Well, actually, is this really important? I have that with my youngest. She wants a lot of my time, and I kind of go, I'll do it in a minute, and today she's going, can you do this for me? Can you do this for me? And I was like, yeah. And I felt guilty today because I was like, wait a minute, let's put this in context. Like, it doesn't matter if I don't send this email for like a week. No one cares. Like, why do I care? Like, it's not important. But for her, it was really important that I just took that break and then she was able to go off and do something. And it was just, all it was she wanted to put gift her some of my data from my phone because she was going to go out with her friends and she wanted to use 4G. And I was just like, oh, why do you need it? Why do you need it? Well, of course she needs it. For her, it's really important because she wants to send pictures of her mates and stuff. And I think it is quite hard to break when you're in those different modes as well. And I guess because we've got family mode and work mode, and then you've got different ways of different people in your life that you slot in. So, you know, relationships with the life you shared with people at university, for instance, is different to people you went to school with, and, you know, and your friends that have stood by you. So I guess like it's like an audit then of where you've been, and defragging your hard drive, as it were, to fix those bits of the bad. And I think that's we all need to do that, because we can always be better and improve ourselves. And I guess life is that journey, isn't it? And so it must be really fulfilling for you to now help people to do that themselves.
It's hugely fulfilling. You know, I mean, my most effective way to talk to people about this is to talk to them about it through my own story. Like, so you mentioned my son and Tracy. We got to a point where it was really like a fork in the road for them. Like, they needed me to change, because I mean, they love me, and who knows, they probably would have, they may have endured me just being, you know, fixated on these other things, right? Chasing money, chasing possessions, putting all of that in context, but it's going to be great for us, you know, holidays and all that. And to some extent, money is necessary, right? We need it, no doubt. But the story that I had was that the fork in the road was, I need to somehow like save my my relationship with my family. And that was probably, you know, 5-6 years ago. I'm 54, so this has been late in the game. But I have seen my father, and he never got it. He never really had this conversation with himself. Yeah. Right? He died at 78. So that's really hard to even, you know, to think about that for him and for us as, you know, as part of his family. So anyway, that 5 years ago was like the start of a new opportunity, and I'm loving it right now. Like, Tracy and I have an amazing time together. We walk every morning for we call it our walking workout. We do this hill walk every morning, and we have periods of time that are just us. You know, on the weekends we knock off any kind of work, like sort of midday Saturday, and Sunday is absolutely nothing. So we, you know, we'll be under the covers and watching Netflix, or out on the deck, and, you know, just like literally just, you know, hot drinks, and we spoil ourselves with treats and things like that. But that's something we did like way early on in our relationship that's now come back, and it's been beautiful. And same with Bodhi. Like, my son Bodhi is 22 now. So he was 16 or 17 when I had this fork in the road. And if you would have asked him, like, what's your relationship with your dad? He probably would have said something along the lines of, I don't have a relationship with my dad. You know, that still hurts me. But coming out of that, we hang out now. We're buddies. We do a podcast together. That we're literally just, you know, we mess about. We know, we're walking around Bristol doing this, you know, this haphazard like setup that's like filming us around Bristol. We do different things. We go paintballing. We watch different sporting events together. It's beautiful, right? So I've been able to like recover that. And that is what I'd like to share to people when they talk about their life balance. Like, that is what's at stake. And it's everything, right? It's, you know, that's the whole game. So, yeah. No,
great. And I'd say I share, although most of the people watching, you know, I share an office with my dad. And it was great for me when I've always been so close to my dad, and he's always been the person to go to when I've been worried about things. And he's quite chilled out and says, this is, you know, don't worry, Paul, it'll be fine. It's okay. You know, you can do this. I used to, for me, it was when I went to university, when I kind of, my role, my father changed with, you know, not living with them and going away, that I had to speak on the phone more. That it was, you know, really got to chat on a different level to and get to know him. And now, you know, started this business 10 years ago, and now it's awesome because we just share the same office, and, you know, we got similar sense of humor, and we like the same music, and, you know, and yeah, love it. And it's nice that you're in that place too, and it shows. And I wanted to, if you could mention a bit more about the podcast, because and what you're doing with your stuff, because it's really cool what you and Bodhi are doing, and you've got some, you know, good guests that are coming on, and just if you could talk a little bit more about that, that'd be great.
Yeah, so the podcast is literally probably through maybe 2 months old, something like that. And I think I went on a podcast as a guest. And I came off of it, and Bodhi sent me a message and said, that was cool. And I said, well, we could do something like that. And he said, I'd be down.
Cool.
So that was the moment it started. And we started thinking, okay, well, what would it be called? And so, 15 minutes later, we had the name of it. It's Homie and the Dude. Now you're going to have to figure out who Homie is, and you're going to have to figure out who the Dude is. And there's a bit of mystery in that by design. But our thought was, we want to have people that we genuinely like. So people that we know that are in our sphere of family and friends, or people that we'd be really interested in talking to. And that was sort of the model. And where it goes, it goes. We have no sort of end date for it. We just keep doing it until, we don't want to anymore. And right now we're just loving it. So we've had an old basketball player of mine has come on, had a couple of Bodhi's sort of friends that he's had growing up. One of them's a graphic artist. One of them is sort of in social media marketing. We've had a really accomplished meditation, like a master, basically. He's the guy that I have gone to throughout the last 4 or 5 years with questions about my own meditation practice. We've had a very accomplished MMA, mixed martial arts instructor based out of Swindon. And then Bodhi and I have done our own sort of just father and son episodes as well. And yeah, so it continues on. We've got a guest this Friday, so tomorrow. And he traveled at the same time Bodhi traveled. So Bodhi was in China and Japan and Taiwan. And our guest, David Nesta, traveled alongside him. And David is a professional filmmaker. And so I think I've never met him, so Bodhi knows, but I think he was like a dentist or a dental hygienist or something like that, and gave all that up to travel the world and be sort of like a travel blogger. And he also meditates. So there's a bit of common ground all over. So that's an example of, us just having fun with it and seeing like, okay, who do we want to have on next? That kind of conversation.
Yeah.
But also just us hanging together has been cool. Like, I don't tell Bodhi this, but like, this is like almost like a diary that we can have forever, right? That we can look back on. If he has kids, his kids can look back on. When I get older and I'm a little bit more infirm, sort of like propped up in the corner, with the bib on or something like that, he can kind of remember, this type of thing. So we've just loved it. It's been really cool.
No, that's great. And I say it's a similar sort of. I'm looking to get my dad involved to do some things, and like you said, it's great to have that time documented and just have enjoy laughs, enjoy similar things, test stuff out, see what works, see what doesn't work. And I think what's quite good about this time is, you can be quite forgiving about trying things out. And an example tonight is me trying to fit you in the blooming screen properly. It doesn't matter, does it? It's part of fun. Every day is a school day, and that's what makes life exciting, isn't it? About learning new things. So
yeah, we've done podcasts where we've realized we haven't hit the record button for about 20 minutes in. We've done a podcast where we have Bodhi's camera as the central camera, and it had a battery, and we hadn't found a plug-in for sort of wall plugs. So we've had to do sort of a pit crew change because it was a longer one. So it was about a 2-hour podcast. So audio stayed on, video went black, and he had to get up, almost ripped his mic off and swept the whole set aside, but had to just change the battery and come back. It's all good fun, right? It's all like, part of the experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was talking to somebody the other day about when you look back, some of the vloggers that were like, been going, become the biggest in the country, have been going sort of 7-8 years. And you can go back, and what I like is when you can go back to their original. I ended up looking at Zuela, in British vlogger, and I think she had an original video up with her about 12 years old, just going like, "This is my pen, this is my school book," and it was like filmed on like a baked bean can, it's like really, really bad. And she's deleted it. I thought it was great because it showed that journey and it documented it. And I think obviously before the bells and whistles and things start whizzing in, it's nice to document that. And one of the things that you said, which I really hit home with me, is about the storytelling and life in the journey. And it's we're always evolving, we're always learning things, and it's great that you've made these changes in your life that are such positive ones, and it's made you a lot closer to your family and people that you meet. And wish you all the best with it as you go forward and helping other people do the same. So thank you,
Sure
Tom,
thing.
for joining me. It's been great. It's great to chat. We're going to bring Joe back on now, and then we'll fire some questions at you guys and see if anyone's got a question to add there. So if I can see if I
Hey, Joe.
can get it to work. Let's have a look. So Joe, if Joe's there.
I'm here. Am I back?
Yeah, you're there. Wait a minute. How do I take off? 1 minute. Wait a minute. So I've got, this is what's confusing. I have to go like off the screen to the right and it comes up on the left. So
Let me know which way you need me to shuffle.
right, there we go. So I've got both of you on the screen, but kind of you're a little bit if you both move to the left a little bit.
To our left?
Yeah, that'll do. That's cool. You're a little bit small. It looks like I'm super important because I'm like big. Or I could
you're
just...
the host.
Yeah, but I'm not important, am I? So let me actually let's just wait a minute. Let's just try something a bit different. Let me just there you go.
Are you Joe, are you to what degree are you sitting, and to what degree are you actually lying down right now?
Well, I'm quite sitting.
Okay.
See?
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah. I thought you were literally lying back like on a pillow with your feet crossed.
I'm not like I'm not completely reclined, not yet.
Okay.
Oh, cool. Well, I've sorted it out. I've kind of gone with it and just ad-libbed and found something. So now we've got kind of looks like the Brady Bunch. We're kind of like multiple mosaic tiles of us. So that's cool. Okay. So I'm going to have a look at some of the questions. I'd be interested, first of all, if either of you have got a question for each other.
Oh, pressure's on.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I do have an actual question. Tom, did you name your son after the character in Point Break, or is it just like a really common American name?
So it's no to both of those.
Oh.
Point Break came out after we named our son, and
no, it came. I just looked it up. It came out 29 years ago.
No way.
Really? Yeah.
Jeez,
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because I found that.
So I thought it came out. So Bodie was born in '97, so I guess that puts it in like early '90s. No, so I know Point Break, and it's great. It's a great movie for the time. And no, we Tracy and I battled about names, kind of going all the way through her pregnancy, and it was the one that we actually agreed on, both in how it sounds and how it's spelled. So it's Bodhi. It has some Buddhist origins.
Like Point Break.
Yeah, like Point Break. Yeah, exactly. But as far as I know, it's not a very hugely popular name. There are, you hear it sprinkled around here or there. But
yeah. Oh well, it's a cool name. Well done.
Thank you. So I had Mom, I'm not sure if it's a question, but it's certainly an observation that I am, hugely admire what you've built over 10 years. And so it shows dedication, and it shows that you found something that you really enjoy, that you're good at. And it's actually a space that I'm just sort of dabbling my feet into for, kind of the first time. The social world is certainly new to me, but to see someone that has gone through that journey and has come out to a place where you can actually make a living on it is pretty cool. So just want to give you some thumbs up on job well done.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Cool. It's very good. I've got a question here. If anybody else would like to ask a question, please pop it into the comments section and we can read them out. So we've got a question from Clive Smith Senior. Has Tom experienced life-changing results in people via leadership workshops?
Yeah, life-changing is kind of what I was trying to refer to earlier, which is the leadership workshops are put on by corporations. So these big businesses that really they put on these workshops. Why? Because they want their people to have better tools. Why? Because they want their people to be more effective, so that people can make more money for them, right? That's the bottom line of it. Through that process, I feel like I'm sort of like a sleeper agent or like a stealth bomber when I come into these things. And I want to change people's lives irrespective of how successful they'll make the business. I want to help them with tools that they can take outside of the business, or they can move to another business, and they can have those with them. So it's always like at the top of my mind. And sometimes those moments come outside of the stuff that you're teaching them about negotiation or coaching. It's over lunch, or it's, you know, it's walking to the break room to have a coffee, or that type of thing. So really just trying to share who you are authentically and find out who they are. And sometimes those, you know, those moments can be pretty transformative. So yes, that's my underlying goal with all of it, really.
Cool.
Thanks, Clive.
And I think like because some of those, like you mentioned then, like between meetings and catching up, some of those little micro moments now get lost in terms of people looking at their phones, and that actually listening skills of listening to people and getting to know them. You know, it's quite interesting how that's sort of evolved. And I guess part of understanding, I mean, one of the big things now obviously is mental health, understanding that people that are happy and fulfilled are going to be more productive. But looking after them, and that they don't want to leave, isn't it? That you treat them well enough that they are fulfilled and they are motivated, that they're not seen as someone on a payroll, they're seen as somebody's an integral part of a business, more than ever, really.
What a concept, right? Be nice to people.
Yeah.
And they will offer up, you know, to be a better version of themselves for you. It's not like brain surgery.
It's mad, isn't it? And
it's crazy.
And also, I guess a part of that is that it's much more transparent in the world now, that you get pulled up on stuff a lot quicker. Somebody asked me in the week about, I was given a talk about branding and authenticity and stuff. And I was saying, like, years, you know, somebody asked me a question about brand promise, and do you think it's important that you write your brand promise on your website and this, that, and the other? I said, well, yes, of course. But it's more so that you're living and breathing that, because years ago you could say any old bullshit and you didn't get pulled up on it as much because you could kind of hide behind. So if you were a dodgy dealer on a car lot and sold secondhand cars and you were dodgy and you just said, oh, we believe in this, this and this, it didn't really hold much substance. Wasn't, you know, now you can we call people out on it. I mean, almost to now that's gone a bit too far the other way. There's a bit of a witch hunt in some ways, but people have got that voice that they can use. And I guess it is like that balance, saying to what you do, but that balance of looking after your people and getting it right. I've got a question here. Where is it? Does somebody know? Righty-ho, from Bethan. So Joe, does Joe have any no-go product or services areas that she'd feature?
Yes, I do. I've actually been a Nestle boycotter for about 17 years now, since Belle, my youngest daughter, was born, and I trained as a breastfeeding counsellor, and was a big thing then, and is still a thing now. So any brand that is a Nestle brand is a big no for me, and that is actually a lot of brands, and often I don't realise it to start with. I had an example quite recently, actually. It was pet food, and it was the perfect fit for me because obviously I've got the 3 cats, but also my eldest daughter is allergic to cats. And it's a new pet food that is like with the partnership. Before they told me what the brand was, and it's a Nestle owned brand, and I had to say no, sorry. So I do turn down a lot of things on that basis. Other than that, I'm pretty open-minded. You know, I'll take each thing as a sort of case by case. But yeah.
Mine tend to be stuff that's in Comic Sans. Just won't touch any of it.
You know? Yeah.
Not touching that stuff. And
drives you nuts.
Particularly if people buy me Christmas presents with it on, that it just goes in the recycled Christmas present gift. I can't be doing it. We've got another question here from Bethan.
I'm going to get you like get you a mug or a T-shirt or something this Christmas.
I've got a Comic Sans, like banned Comic Sans T-shirt, which my youngest now wears to bed, because the weird thing about it, right, is it says no to Comic Sans, but it's got Comic Sans on it. It's in Comic Sans. It's like, surely you should just be in a nice font that says no Comic Sans. It just kind of upsets me a bit.
That's life.
So Bethan's asked another question, this time at Tom. How does Tom deal with the raft of management speak he must come across so often? Good question.
Yeah, it's a great question. So for me, I have to sift through to find the right stakeholder in an organization. And usually when the stakeholder is below senior management, it's going to be tough, because that person, even if they're hugely invested or committed to bringing in someone to help their troops, they need sign off at the levels above them. And if you have a senior manager or even a CEO that's interested in other things like maximizing profits, then it's going to be very, very difficult to release budget to run some of these things. So my strategy is actually to talk to those guys first and to sift through. Like, I may talk to 20 CEOs and only have really an effective conversation with one or two or three of them. But if I do have that conversation with them, they don't have to answer to anyone, right? They can green light it themselves.
Yeah.
And then that filters down into the organization pretty quickly. So that's my little strategy, my little tip, is talk to the people at the top, win them over, and then it's easier sailing.
Great. Like I said, there's just less resistance then, isn't there, to change and embrace what you're trying to do. So
yeah.
Cool. All right. There's a question here from Susie Thomas for Joe. And it says, Joe, who's your favourite interior designer from the classic 90s TV show Changing Rooms? And which room is next on your list to decorate with your newly learnt skills?
Okay, well, obviously, Lawrence Llewellyn-Bowen. I mean, he's like the iconic Changing Rooms designer, surely. Do you know, there's actually like the one room they did in Changing Rooms once, which is just stuck in my mind forever. And I think it was Lawrence Llewellyn-Bowen, and he did these wardrobes in a bedroom, and the doors were this amazing like lacquer with like oriental birds all over them. That's just like stayed in my mind for about 30 years. The next route, well, I don't know. Do you know what? Like, I actually find it quite hard to decorate in my own house. Like, this wall I painted about 6 months ago, but it took me like 2.5 years of living here to decide to paint one wall this color. I think it's because there's so many possibilities and there's so many different things you can do, and I'm scared that I'll choose the wrong option. So I just end up paralyzed and don't do anything at all. So I don't know. Maybe I'll paint like a second wall in about 5 years.
There you go. You've heard it here first. Both of you, I'd like to ask both of you, have either of you got anything in the next month that you're looking forward to or looks exciting? Any projects?
You want to go, John?
Well, I've got my ice cream sandwiches to make, obviously.
Oh, nice.
That's pretty exciting. I don't tend to have like stuff planned in more than a few weeks ahead at a time. So I've got the ice cream sandwiches going on, and I've also got another blog post that I'm working on, which is to style my drinks cabinet with the help of some smart home technology to create the ultimate happy hour. So I've got like this light that lights up saying bar, and I'm going to set it up so when you open the door of the drinks cabinet, the light comes on and the lighting in the room changes to like a kind of moody, low-key light. So that's the kind of highbrow stuff I'm working on.
So I was just thinking through it. I think the really exciting thing coming up is that Tracy is opening up a supper club in Bristol. And so because of COVID, it's going to be a, what do you call it? Not pick up, carry out. It's, what is it when someone comes and picks something up in England? Takeaway. Yeah, it's a takeaway to start with. But you saw the set that our podcast is in our flat. So our flat has a kind of a funky feel to it. There's some artwork and some different bits and pieces. So eventually it will transform into a supper club that will be inside our flat, and there'll just probably be 5 or 6 different tables. But the business is called Veast, V-E-A-S-T, and it's a vegan feast. And so Tracy's an insane chef. She's been doing it for 30 years, and she's still as passionate about it today as she was sort of the day I met her. Oftentimes, if we're in bed, she'll be reading not a book, but a cookbook. And so that's really exciting. So this is sort of the culmination of a lot of things coming together for her. Her passion for food, but not just that, most recently for sort of plant-based and vegan. And so super excited about that. That's going to kick off, I think, 2 Saturdays from now. And so, yeah, if there's anyone in Bristol that's vegan that is interested, reach out to, I guess it's Instagram and Facebook, Feast, which is a vegan feast.
Great, that's excellent. Well, please share the details for that with us that we can put out on our channels when we've got that. I'm sure Joe will share it as well to her thousands of followers, which would be great. I think we're going to finish up now. It's been an absolute delight to speak to you both tonight and to catch up with you both, and hopefully see you both in person very soon. So thank you very much. Give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you very much.
Well done, Joe.
Good work, Tom.
Sound effects and everything. So thank you very much for joining. I'm just going to finish up now. I'll speak to you both very soon. Just going to finish up now. Thank you. And yeah, thank you for tuning in tonight. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Every day's a school day. There's things to learn all the time. I really want to decorate the office a bit more after seeing Tom and Bodhi set up. So check out their podcast that was mentioned there. That'd be great. Any ideas, any feedback? If you've got any ideas or things we can do different or whatever you want to do, just let us know. Yeah, looking forward to the next meeting. We'll keep you updated with what's going on. Look after yourselves. It's Friday tomorrow. Enjoy yourself. Hopefully the weather's going to be nice again. And yeah, speak to you all very soon. Many thanks. Bye-bye now.